If you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description.
Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is our Christmas Day episode. The most bizarre, outrageous, insane Christmas crimes. I am, of course, your host, Bruce McGuire, and this will be our Christmas true crime episode. So thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you allow your device to have those notifications come through. If it's still not working, you can just go to youtube.com/MindShock to manually peruse our ever-expanding, ever-growing catalog and see the latest episodes when they drop. You could also check us out on Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case, topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast, depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. And if you like this particular episode, hit that like button, share it across social media platforms so we can bring logic and reason to examining a multitude of topics: true crime, the paranormal, conspiracies, and anything and everything in between in a logical fashion, trying not to fall for logical fallacies, which are ever present everywhere in the mainstream. All right, so hopefully everyone out there is having a happy and safe holiday season. And we will go over some of the craziest crimes of Christmas. So this is actually from lawandcrime.com. Has compiled this list. We'll be going over a couple different lists. And this is Matt Nahum's article posted on December 24th, 2018. It is often said that the truth is stranger than fiction, and yes, the Grinch has absolutely nothing on the most bizarre Christmas-related crimes committed in recent memory. Domestic violence over unwanted gifts, ceramic squirrel stabbings, Christmas light theft, and crack pipe Santa Clauses only scratch the surface. And to the point of, I think JR mentioned some of these crime stats, that Thanksgiving and Christmas are some of the most crime-ridden holidays, where police are on call quite a bit more often than other times. Murders, assaults, everything is up. And is that because of the stress of the holidays? Is that because modern living in society is so mentally ill that some people just can't handle it? I actually think this will be a good time for an Aldous Huxley quote. I probably said this one before, but I'll say it again. It's probably good to hear around Christmas time. So this is Aldous Huxley, author of Brave New World. The real hopeless victims of mental illness are to be found among those who appear to be most normal. Many of them are normal because they are so well adjusted to our mode of existence, because their human voice has been silenced so early in their lives that they do not even struggle or suffer or develop symptoms as the neurotic does. They are normal not in what may be called the absolute sense of the word. They are normal only in relation to a profoundly abnormal society. Their perfect adjustment to that abnormal society is a measure of their mental sickness. These millions of abnormally normal people living without fuss in a society to which, if they were fully human beings, they ought not to be adjusted. And is this not adjusted, this unadjusted state, become evident around the holidays, and more people mentally break or snap? Or is it simply a case of being off from work and imbibing more alcohol than usual? I mean, a lot of different possibilities here, but let's continue on with the article here. He wanted a remote control airplane. She gave him a Nintendo Wii. It didn't go well. Let's go back to Christmas in 2009, when a Portsmouth, New Hampshire couple had, in their own words, quote, a bad Christmas. Randy Young gave Heath Blom a Nintendo Wii for Christmas. He wanted a remote control airplane instead. His girlfriend was not pleased with his response and got up to leave, but Blom grabbed her by the hair as she went. Young wasn't having it. She turned around and slugged him. We just had a bad Christmas, Young said. That's putting it lightly. Both of them ended up bruised and charged with misdemeanor assault. The judge was not pleased and actually ordered Young to get a job within 21 days. The judge also ordered Young to provide proof that she was sending out applications. So this is bizarre on so many levels. I mean, wow, this judge, wow, talk about overstepping constitutional bounds. I mean, now judges are ordering people to get a job just because I don't know. Not to mention, who's pressing charges here? So if this occurred on private property, are they charging each other? Because if they're not pressing charges and they're saying they're not injured parties, so if there's no injured party, there is no crime. So if they're both denying that they're injured parties, or are they both pressing charges against each other? That's not quite clear here. But let's get a little bit more detailed. So this is an article from seacoastonline.com. Bad Christmas lands couple in court. Portsmouth, a South Street, this article is written by Elizabeth Deenan, January 12, 2009. Portsmouth, a South Street couple was arraigned Monday on his and hers assault charges, alleging counter-assaults during a Christmas Day fight over an unwanted gift. So it looks like they did press charges against each other. A South Street couple was arraigned Monday on his and hers assault charges. Okay. We just had a bad Christmas. Randy Young, 24, told why are they're giving her address here online, doxing on official news websites. That's kind of messed up. Is it really that necessary to give her address in a news article online? Wow. Randy Young, 24, told District Court Judge Sawaki Gardner while asking the judge to lift a no-contact order imposed at the time of her arrest. Young is charged with a Class A misdemeanor count of simple assault, alleging she hit her boyfriend, Heath Blom, 26, of the same address. So this occurred on their private property. Police allege that the Christmas fisticuffs began after Blom complained about getting a Wii from Young for Christmas instead of the remote control airplane he asked for. So this is a 26-year-old complaining about getting a Wii instead of a remote control airplane from his 24-year-old girlfriend. He was upset and rude, and she started leaving, said Lieutenant Rodney McQuaid. He grabbed her by the hair, and she turned around and hit him. Both were bruised at the time of their arrests, according to police. Blom is also charged with a misdemeanor count of simple assault, in his case alleging the hair pulling. During his Monday arraignment, Blom told the court that he would be hiring attorney Jim Loring and asked the judge to dismiss an order prohibiting from contacting Young. The judge denied both requests to dismiss the no-contact orders. Wait a second. So they want to be in contact with each other and the judge is not allowing them to be? Wow, okay, talk about totalitarian police states. This is bizarre. This is a lot more bizarre than I thought it would be. Police were called and you both got charged. See, I don't understand that either. Who's charging whom with what? So are they charging each other or not? Because it looks like they might not be charging each other. This article is also not 100% clear. Police were called, you both got charged. It's pretty serious, she said. That's not going to happen today. So let me get this straight. This judge is prohibiting adults from willingly contacting each other. So judges refuse to grant restraining orders, like even in cases where there's clear evidence that someone's stalking somewhere else. They refuse. There's just not enough evidence that that person is going to harm them or whatever they call it, a burden on the system, whatever they want to call it or excuse it. But adults, consenting adults who want to contact each other are not allowed to. Wow, New Hampshire's really messed up. This is crazy. This is crazy. Young was court-ordered to get a job within 21 days and provide the court with proof that she has submitted 5 job applications a week. Not 4, Not 3, but 5. Blom reported he works as an independent contractor specializing in bathrooms and kitchens. Personal recognizance bail was maintained for both, and they are scheduled to return to the court for March 24th trials. Wow. This is some BS. So, this couple got into a fight, whatever, and you could see from their pictures, from their mugshots, I don't really see any bruising. There's some light red under the guy's eye, so I guess that's where she punched him. Doesn't look too bad. I actually can't really see any bruising on her face. I can't tell if that's like a pimple or something on her nose. Perhaps her nose is slightly brushed red from either a scuffle or whatever, maybe even her chin. If she either fell, he pulled her hair, maybe she fell on something, I don't know. But it's not, this is really far from assaults and bad. This is really nothing. And the judge, so on what grounds? Clearly, okay, either she borrowed money. How does she have money to buy him a Nintendo Wii without a job, but yet the judge wants her to have a job because she punched her boyfriend one time after he pulled her hair? So if this account is true, he pulled her hair first. She retaliated. You could even argue if that would be self-defense. If someone's pulling your hair, you can punch them. Doesn't matter who's a man or a woman. So she punched her boyfriend who allegedly was pulling her hair, if this is all true. And now she's court-ordered to get a job for defending herself after buying her boyfriend a Christmas present, which he happened not to like. Is this Twilight Zone or what? So this is Judge... Let's see here. This is Judge Sawako Gardner. So this is how this judge operates. As if this judge is judge, jury, executioner, not allowing consenting adults to contact each other. Wow. I really don't know what to make of this case. I didn't think this would be this insane going through this list. Obviously, this is nothing. This is nothing. Someone got their hair pulled, someone got punched. This happens a million times all the time with no police getting called in a lot of cases. It's not like they really were extremely bruised and battered. And even if they were, if they're consenting adults and they're refusing to press charges against each other, what? I don't understand what's going on here. All you MindShock listeners out there, feel free to jump in and try to decipher this for me. But this judge literally has nothing else to do, where there's all these other cases where there's evidence of stalking and and restraining orders are not granted. It's just insane. All right, let's move on here back to the Law and Crime article. Intruder decorates home for Christmas. It was a pretty unnerving event in 2011 when a boy, then 11 years old, spotted a 44-year-old burglar stranger in his Vandalia, Ohio home. Terry Trent described high on bath salts. You don't hear about bath salts too often anymore. I remember a time numerous years ago where there were cases daily of people just flipping out on bath salts. But anyway, had broken into the home, but unfortunately he didn't mean any harm. What he actually did was put up Christmas decorations and lounge around. He lit candles, hung a wreath on the garage door, then kicked back and watched some TV with the volume turned up loud. No one disclosed what he was watching, but we're just going to hazard a guess that it was Christmas themed. The 11-year-old boy saw what Trent was doing around the house and called his mom, who was actually next door at the time at the neighbors. Trent was described as polite and said to the child, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'll get my things and go." That's pretty funny. I guess the harder question here would be, why was the home undecorated in the first place? And there's a more in-depth article here on CBS News by Barry Leibowitz, November 16th, 2011. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Okay, so it looks like this was well before Christmas, and that's why it was undecorated. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas at one home in a Dayton, Ohio suburb, thanks to a man who police say broke in and started hanging up Yuletide decorations. They also say the burglar, who was already in the holiday spirit, was high on bath salts, reported CBS affiliate WOIO. Terry Trent, 44, was arrested and charged with Wait, how is that burglary? Decorating a house is burglary? Huh. I mean, we got some really bizarre charges occurring here. So, okay, so burglary technically, it can also be called breaking and entering. Illegally entering a building or other areas to commit a crime. Usually that offense is theft, but most jurisdictions include others within the ambit of burglary. So, entry into a building illegally with intent to commit a crime. So, how are they measuring the intent? So, I guess decorating someone's house with Christmas decorations against their will, or not that they wouldn't want it decorated, but perhaps they didn't want it decorated that early. I mean, isn't this more of a trespass than a burglary? I don't know. But anyway, according to the station, when an 11-year-old boy found the man sitting on the couch after he had done some Christmas decorating around the house. Vandalia police said Trent entered through one of the home's back doors. So it's unclear if the door was already open. I mean, yeah, obviously. See, what's breaking and entering? See, wouldn't this actually be a trespass? But anyway. And made himself comfortable lighting candles on the coffee and kitchen tables, as well as having the television's volume on very loudly. I guess they could argue that crime is disturbing the peace. So if you're gonna trespass or illegally enter someone's property to disturb the peace, turn their TV up real loud, that is still burglary. Trent had also hung a Christmas wreath on the back garage door. When discovering that Trent was watching television and playing with the boy's things, so he also played with his toys? The 11-year-old boy called his mother, who was next door at their neighbor's house. WOIO reported. The mother told police that Trent attempted to be polite to the boy. He was arrested without incident, but police did find that he was carrying a pocket knife. He said to him, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'll get my things and go," the boy's mother told to WOIO. One man who was working with Trent last week described him as a very caring person involved with the Boy Scouts and a local church program to help convicted felons currently in prison. But he wasn't acting well that day, the man said, describing Trent as mentally unstable. Police indicated that Trent, who is being held in Montgomery County Jail, has a history of drug charges. So, an adult using plants somehow makes this case worse. Okay, so yeah, that's quite bizarre, but obviously that's, this isn't a guy that actually assaulted or killed anybody. But let's get to some more disturbing cases. Still bizarre, but even more disturbing. Mall Santa allegedly groped an 18-year-old elf. Massachusetts Mall Santa Herbert Jones was banned in 2013 after he allegedly groped an 18-year-old woman dressed as an elf. The two of them were working at a phone booth together when Jones allegedly pinched her buttocks and made suggestive comments. Jones pleaded not guilty to indecent assault and battery and was told not to come back to the Hanover Mall. He was also ordered not to dress up as Santa. Wait a second. Wait a second. So he can't dress up as Santa not at the mall? So he can't dress up as Santa in, let's say, in a public street? What about for Halloween? I mean, some of this is really weird stuff. But Jones said this was all a misunderstanding. While the woman recalled him saying, "I wish you were a few years older and I was younger," and groping her rear end, Jones said he never did anything of the sort and that he would have never done something like that. "I did not touch that girl," he said, saying that while he was seated, on his Santa throne, the elf lady walked by him and brushed up against his hand. Jones claimed that he pulled away to avoid touching her. He also said that his remarks about being younger were not sexual. He claimed that he wished he was young again so he could do life differently. The elf apparently quit her job after this incident. So, obviously, unfortunate situation. This actually reminds me of, I was at the mall one time, not during Christmas time, and there was a group of troublemaking teenage girls, and what they would do is they would actually, they would sneak up on, let's say, a woman and a man that were standing next to each other, and they would pinch the butt of the girl and then, move away so it looked like the guy had done it, and caused quite a bit of trouble doing that. I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, but it just reminded me of that because it's, in these situations, it is possible that both of these people could have been telling the truth. Again, let's not fall for logical fallacies. I don't actually know why this is on the list. I mean, all these crimes, these are like the weirdest non-severe crimes in terms of people losing life or limb or things of that nature. They're just really, really bizarre. But I'm sure, I mean, I don't know, the whole thing with Santa Claus and kids sitting on Santa's lap, that whole thing is really bizarre. I don't know. I mean, parents are just okay with their children sitting on some stranger's lap. A lot of times these guys are like alcoholics. I mean, everybody's seen Bad Santa probably. I mean, it's weird. Um, Personally, I would not allow my child to sit on any stranger's lap. It's just weird, and there's a lot of weird incidents like this one that occur. Unfortunately, I mean, there needs to be more security. I guess why was there no security next in that area? I mean, if they're working a photo booth and there's a lot of people there, shouldn't there be security there in the first place? Because if there was a security, and what about, so this occurred in 2013, so there's no security videos anywhere in the mall? Because how easy would it be to verify whether the incident occurred, whether another person was brushing up against him at the moment where that caused some kind of contact that might have not been intentional? And or not, because if the incident was caught on video and there wasn't anyone there and it was definitely the guy, the Santa Claus, which again, I mean, it wouldn't be that surprising either way. So, but apparently, if the elf quit her job after the incident, then most likely she was not lying. I don't know. But so, yeah, another bizarre case. I actually can't believe we spent that much time on that, but let's move on. She stabbed her man with a ceramic squirrel. Okay, so this is getting more disturbing. Also, in 2013, a 44-year-old North Charleston, South Carolina woman was not about to let the holidays pass without stocking up on brewskis. Helen Williams unleashed her wrath on her husband when he came back home without any beer. Williams allegedly, this is actually really, this isn't funny. I mean, that part's funny, but the next part's not funny. Williams allegedly beat and stabbed her man with a ceramic squirrel because stores were closed on Christmas Eve, meaning that there would be no beer to guzzle. The victim was found on the floor covered in blood, and Williams apparently explained that he fell. The Charleston County Sheriff's Office wanted to know why Williams was herself covered in blood. After that, the story got a little bit more context. The man said that Williams attacked because he didn't bring home beer. Williams was charged with domestic violence for stabbing her man in the shoulder and chest with a ceramic squirrel. It's not immediately clear why the squirrel was the weapon of choice. So in this case, if she actually wasn't inebriated at the time, like a lot of these crimes obviously occur when individuals are drunk, but if she was drunk on the last beer that they had and she wanted more beer, that makes a little bit more sense. But if she was 100% sober, I mean that's bizarre. It doesn't really say how long they've been married or if there were any other previous incidents. So that's messed up. That's a messed up case. All right, let's move on to the faked heart attack shopper. I wonder how often this happens, too, because it seems like older people could get away with this. Desperate times call for desperate measures, so if you need to get some Christmas shopping done, just bring a friend along, have them fake a heart attack, and walk out with the goods. Actually, don't. That strategy didn't work. In 2014, at Walmart, in the weeks leading up to Christmas, Terrace Scott and Gerard Dupree allegedly hatched a plan whereby Dupree would fake a heart attack to distract security and the other would steal a motorized Barbie car and vacation house. It would have been quite a haul, as these items were worth $369. That's not quite a haul. And that's 4 years ago. This iteration of I've fallen and I can't get up fooled people at first. But Dupree casually got up, left the store slowly, and met up with Scott outside. They drove off in the same car. And oh, by the way, this was all caught on surveillance camera. The two would later be charged with grand theft. They also had 30 plus arrests between the two of them. All right, so, okay, all right. Let's dissect this one. So, okay, they're gonna leave. So he's after faking the heart attack. He's gonna casually just get up and leave. I mean, wow. So apparently all they got was a Barbie car, a leapfrog tablet, and a Barbie glam vacation house worth a combined $369. So they hatched this whole plan, did all this stuff for $369. And then they're making off in the same car. I mean, that's a mistake, of course. I mean, these guys have this many arrests. I mean, I guess that's why they get arrested so many times, because there's just not a lot of logic here. All right, let's move on. This one's getting freaky. Okay, this one didn't happen until just the new year, but come on, this man is legally named Santa Claus. Allow us to set the scene. Weeks after Christmas 2015, in Post Falls, Idaho, a man legally named Santa Claus. So I don't know if they said here that. So did his parents name him Santa Claus, or did he change his name? Okay, he was busted for DUI after he was observed driving the wrong way. The 67-year-old man, who was as bearded as you would expect, was a resident of Washington State. And there was not a sleigh or reindeer in sight, although this could have had a tragic ending. The charge against Santa Claus was reduced to misdemeanor reckless driving. So I guess they wanted to give him a break since he was Santa Claus. Well, what if this was the real Santa Claus? He did plead guilty and paid out $700. Santa Claus apparently reeked of alcohol when he was contacted by police. He said he had 3 of 4 beers at a local bar. 3 of 4? What does that mean? Does that mean he ordered 4 and only drank 3? But 2 BAC samples came out to 0.13 and 0.119. In other words, significant intoxication. So this guy actually does look like Santa Claus. Oh man. Oh man. All right. This is funny. Supposedly he was cooperative throughout, according to law enforcement. This is like a plot to a movie. All right. Let's move on to Put Down the Crack Pipe Volunteer Santa. New Jersey. A 66-year-old volunteer Santa Claus named Charles Smith was arrested in 2017 on drug charges. Smith, a former New Jersey Transit employee and Toys for Tots volunteer, was allegedly found with a crack pipe on his person. The arrest occurred after Smith was pulled over for an unspecified motor vehicle violation. The crack pipe and the Santa Claus costume were allegedly out in the open and easily observed. Authorities also said they found empty bags of crack and heroin and hypodermic needles. All right. You know what's funny, though, is if Bad Santa, the Billy Bob Thornton movie, if that was more of a documentary than people think. I mean, what are the private lives of mall Santas really like? That sounds like a Netflix documentary that needs to be made. All right, let's move on. NBD, just a Christmas Day brawl at Waffle House. It wouldn't be a complete Christmas Day without brawling at Waffle House, right? Supposedly, that's what these pugilists felt back in 2017. Things went off the rails at Fayetteville, North Carolina grub spot early Christmas morning, around 12:35 a.m. to be exact. Several people were involved in a brawl that absolutely trashed this Waffle House. As you can see, some of the people trying to break up this fight were wearing Santa hats. It's not even clear why this happened and how it started in the first place, but when police got there, they arrested Jasmine Jackson. At the time the video went viral, the man who posted it commented that he was, quote, just trying to eat. End quote. Jackson was charged with damage to real property, assault as opposed to fake property, assault and battery, and simple misdemeanor possession of marijuana. They got to get those drug charges in. So the Miami Herald actually reported this as well. There is a video. So let's check out this video. It doesn't look like that big of a brawl. I mean, a lot of these incidents just seem to be relatively minor. Actually, there's people brawling. It's a Christmas brawl. I mean, the place is getting trashed, but, it's not the most extreme brawl out there. All right, let's move on. Man arrested after telling kids Santa Claus isn't real. So, just a couple of weeks ago in 2018, a 31-year-old man in Cleburne, Texas, showed up outside of a church and told children Santa Claus wasn't real. Aaron Urbanski was arrested for trespassing. Urbanski was one of 3 people protesting out of a Breakfast with Santa event. I mean, what exactly were they protesting? Seriously, unlike the others, Urbanski didn't want to leave. Police said, okay, you are under arrest for criminal trespassing. So this is outside of a church. I'm assuming this is on church property. The mayor couldn't resist scolding this man for this incident. Don't mess with Santa, Cleburne Mayor Scott Kane said. Guess they wanted coal in their stockings to go with the court appearance. I mean, that's not very funny, Mayor. All right, so I'm actually surprised this doesn't happen more often. How many people who, let's say people who don't believe in Santa Claus or don't believe in lying to their children and making these, I don't know, putting up these fairy tales. We've talked about this in the past on other episodes, particularly in regards to conspiracies and authority worship. I mean, you're kind of harboring distrust in children by lying to them, telling them there's this fat man who rides in a flying sleigh with reindeer and gives them presents. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, and some of that ideology can pass over into adults that become hopelessly indoctrinated into the cult of state and authority worship and scientism, where they just believe authorities. And does this all start with children and holidays and Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and the occult elements? Obviously, if you haven't checked out the Christmas Conspiracy, the definitive Christmas Conspiracy podcast on MINDSHOCK, check that out. It's a nearly 2-hour-long podcast where we go into the occult origins of Christmas and everything the Christmas conspiracies entail from different parts of the world. So here's an Associated Press article here, December 8th, 2018. Man arrested in Texas after telling kids Santa isn't real. Police say 31-year-old protester who told children Santa Claus is not real has been arrested for trespassing at a North Texas church. You know what's funny? In 2018, they were arresting people for talking and saying Santa Claus wasn't real. And in 2020, people can burn down and loot cities and not get arrested. It's just kind of funny. But anyway, Urbanski was arrested Saturday after authorities were called to a church in Cleburne, which was hosting a Breakfast with Santa event. Police say they found 3 people demonstrating outside the church after responding to a trespassing complaint. I mean, what were they what were they protesting? I would like to hear more clarification there. But authorities say Urbanski refused to leave and continued to cause a disturbance. Okay. All right. Let's move on here. Person steals holiday lights. Again, just weeks ago, someone in La Quinta, California did the unthinkable. A person dressed in all black, that's surprising, was caught on camera showing up at someone's doorstep and stealing Christmas lights before driving away. I mean, I really do wonder how often these types of crimes happen, because it seems like with the amount of crazy people out there, this should happen more often, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Or this person just compiled a very lazy list. Chris Miller was the resident affected, and he posted a video on Facebook to warn other people that this malcontent was on the loose. There's a guy on the loose stealing Christmas lights. It's the Grinch. After the video was posted, local news contacted Miller and he said what we're all thinking. They're Christmas decorations. What kind of a person would do that? He said. The humanity. Oh, man. All right. Christmas thief in La Quinta. Here's our home security footage of this guy stealing lights out of our front yard at midnight, night before last. You can also see his white car at the end of the clip. This guy car looked familiar to anyone. So some guy dressed all in black driving a white car. That narrows it down. All of that for $30 worth of Christmas decorations. This thief will, without question, be getting coal for Christmas. Oh man, that is funny. That is funny stuff. All right, let's move on to some more crazy Christmas crimes. This is coming from Medium.com from author Michael Anarino. November 29th, 2019. The Christmas season is just as wonderful as it is stressful and chaotic. While many families experience joyous gatherings with loved ones, others take a more extreme approach to holiday celebrations. To shed some light on some of the more insane, mind-boggling, or mind-shocking, if you will, occurrences of the holiday season, we've curated this list of the craziest Christmas crimes in history. Although not all of these crimes took place on Christmas, the cheerful season is the intriguing through line within each and every one of these 5 tales. The case of the drunken Christmas float driver, Columbia, South Carolina. The first story on our list of the craziest Christmas crimes takes us back 13 years. During the Anderson Christmas Parade in 2006, onlookers were in for quite a surprise. The celebration endured quite a ruckus when one of the floats broke formation and sped off down Main Street, with passengers still on top of the float. During the parade, 42-year-old David Allen Rogers was tasked with helming the aforementioned float. The float set voyage with multiple people atop it, including Rogers' own child. It turns out that just before the event began, Rogers began consuming alcohol, which police later discovered in his vehicle opened and partially consumed. As mentioned before, Rogers eventually broke formation during the parade and took his float speeding up the road and blasted right through a red traffic light. The frightening ordeal forced one of the people on board to call 911 for help. However, when the police arrived, Rogers kept driving for 3 miles before pulling over. Unfortunately, the chaos did not stop there. Once Rogers pulled over, he attempted to assault the police officer at the scene. Eventually, he was subdued and faced with over 3 dozen charges, which included DUI, assaulting an officer, and 18 counts of kidnapping. If a runaway Christmas float and 18 counts of kidnapping don't equate to one of the craziest Christmas crimes of all time, then I don't know what does. I mean, obviously, again, with the kind of year that 2020 has been, I didn't want to get too gruesome or morbid, so these crimes are not deaths and maimings, but yeah, very, very bizarre. I mean, see, this is something that I don't think would happen that often, Christmas float hijackings or hijinks of this nature. All right, let's move on to the case of the bank robbing Santa Claus in Southern California. The next stop on our guide of craziest Christmas crimes dates back over 30 years. In mid-April 1988, 45-year-old Michael J. Anderson escaped from federal prison. Following his escape, Anderson went on a spree of robberies. He robbed around 33, that's an ominous number, Southern California banks. Well, around 33, so not around 32 or 34, but around 33. Before police finally arrested him in La Puente, police were only able to locate him thanks to a tip from someone who recognized him from wanted posters which appeared in local newspapers at the time. Anderson earned the moniker, the Santa Claus Bandit, because of his long grayish-white hair and gray beard he wore during many of the robberies. So not all of them, just many. Upon arrival at the La Puente residence, police arrested both Anderson and the owner of the home, 40-year-old Ernest Martinez. They arrested Anderson on robbery charges, as well as federal arrest warrant. Martinez, on the other hand, was charged with violating his parole. This is right out of a movie, too. Supposedly, Anderson never used a weapon in his robberies, and no injuries were reported. His average take was about $1,500 per robbery. That hardly seems to be worth the trouble, but this is some kind of Santa Claus, some kind of benevolent Santa Claus that robs banks but never uses a weapon or hurts anybody. Wacky stuff. All right. The other crimes mentioned here were the ones I already went over. The ceramic squirrel stabbing, the fake heart attacker, and the home invasion in Vandalia. So some random other accounts I was able to locate that are just really, really wacky. Santa Claus is coming to Buffalo Wild Wings with weed. This was from New York, NYDailyNews.com. A man claiming to be Santa Claus, I guess he's claiming to be the real Santa Claus, was arrested in January when police discovered him giving away stocking stuffers at a local Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant, according to the the Monterey Herald. Police booked the apparently well-intentioned but clueless Randy Lange, 57, on charges of furnishing marijuana after the man allegedly entered the sports bar carrying a duffel bag packed with 2 pounds of Christmas cheer, which he then began doling out among patrons. Lange entered the restaurant and began approaching customers, declaring that he was Santa Claus, not simply some dime a dozen imposter, and handing them chunks of ganja wrapped in napkins. Lange even stuffed a large amount of the substance into the bar's tip jar before cops caught up with him. Police are still seeking the elves responsible for cultivating the drug. So yeah, going around giving people plants as gifts is just, wow, that's where the police attention is. Not on all the murderers and rapists, but on the people giving away plants for free, because that's really the biggest problem in the world. All right, let's check this one out. A reptilian Christmas story. Are you dreaming of a slithery, snake-filled Christmas? Donald Lagaste Jr. was when he was charged with stealing 3 snakes and a cash register from a Louisiana pet store. In December 2012, the owner of Delta Pets in Slidell summoned police after noticing that the store's door had been pried open and a $600 python and 2 boas were missing, according to the New Orleans Times-Picayune. Police canvassed the area and located a vacant building with a makeshift bed, 3 snakes, and a jail ID card with Lagaste's name on it inside. Aggressive detective work was not required to determine that the 3 snakes were the same reptiles missing from Delta Pets, Detective Daniel Suzanaw told the New Orleans paper. If only police worked this hard on cold cases. All right, here's another one. My 2x4 just wants to say Merry Christmas. A mall Santa in Atlanta wasn't spreading the Christmas spirit when he beat up a woman with a 2x4. Police said that Elkin Donnie Clark, 49, hit 74-year-old Annie Ruth Nelson in the face and knocked her unconscious, according to ABC. Clark said he did it because Nelson had stolen $145 of Hershey's chocolates from him, but no one else could confirm that claim. Clark was arrested with 2 counts of aggravated assault. So were these like Hershey's Kisses, and he somehow was able to calculate that this 74-year-old woman had nothing better to do than to steal exactly $145 of Hershey's chocolate? So was this Hershey bars, Hershey Kisses? Wow, this is quite a bizarre claim. A 49-year-old man beating up a 74-year-old woman with a 2x4. Wow, that is really weird. So another one, another case here. Again, this is NewYorkDailyNews.com's compilation. That time St. Nick was a little too jolly. Sometimes it's possible to imbibe a little too much of the seasonal spirit. In 2009, a drunk Santa Claus stumbled into a scared family's yard in Wisconsin. The family's 2 kids weren't fooled by the blotted man in red. I wonder if this was Ken Kratz. He smelled like alcohol, so I knew it wasn't the real Santa, because Santa doesn't drink alcohol, 9-year-old Katie Doherty told KSDK-TV. How does she know he doesn't drink alcohol? Seems like a lot of mall Santas do, though. The drunk imposter tottered around yelling, "Have you seen my reindeer? If you see my reindeer, call me right away," according to the girl's mother. So this Santa Claus lost his reindeer. You know, it'd be funny again if this was the real Santa Claus. But anyway, all right, let's move on to the last item here. The Santa Claus burglar fails spectacularly. A man named Sean Chanel earned the dubious nickname the Santa Claus burglar after he tried breaking into a house through a chimney. So apparently these are people that think these tactics are well. I wonder how large this man was. He got stuck. And ultimately, Seattle firefighters had to come rescue him, according to the Seattle Times. After chopping away at the chimney bricks for 45 minutes, the medics freed the mysteriously naked 23-year-old, who then strangely claimed he was just trying to retrieve his backpack. The judge didn't buy it, and Chanel was sentenced to 17 months behind bars. So was he not pretending to be Santa Claus? So he was just a guy who lost his clothes and backpack, and he was trying to retrieve it mysteriously from this one particular house. So here's the article from the Seattle Times: Prison not North Pole for Santa Claus burglar. A Seattle man, so this was published August 5th, 2010, by Jennifer Sullivan. A Seattle man who was nicknamed the Santa Claus burglar after he became stuck in a chimney for nearly 6 hours during a botched burglary. Sentenced Thursday morning, 17 months in prison. The jury didn't buy it, and on Thursday, even the judge found the story spun by the so-called Santa Claus burglar that he had become stuck in a chimney while trying to retrieve his backpack unbelievable. But Sean Chanel, 23, didn't help his cause when he cursed at King County Superior Court Judge Helen Halpert as she prepared to sentence him for residential burglary. Then, for reasons that eluded even his own attorney, Chanel asked the judge to sentence him to nearly 2 years of prison. Okay, was this guy tested for drugs or a mental health evaluation? It sounds like he was not. Defense attorney Suzanne Pickering sought a sentence of 15 months behind bars. She later said she believes her client misspoke when he asked for a longer term. Halpert ultimately opted for a sentence between the two, 17 months, the same term recommended by Deputy Prosecutor Maurice Klassen. Halpert also criticized Chanel for his explanation of how he wound up stuck in the chimney of a Seward Park home for 6 hours, February 19th. February 19th? I mean, this is well after Christmas. That's a little bit of a stretch. Seattle firefighters pulled a naked Chanel from the rough edge chimney after a neighbor reported hearing someone yelling for help. It's unclear why Chanel was naked, but it took medics 45 minutes to chisel away bricks from the chimney to free him. Police say Chanel put a chair on a central air-conditioned unit to get onto the roof. His chimney predicament earned him the nickname Santa Claus burglar. During his statements to Seattle police, Chanel claimed that a friend had tossed his backpack into the covered chimney and that he was merely trying to retrieve it. But police found the bag leaning against the garage door of the home. Jurors deliberated for about an hour before finding Chanel guilty. Chanel's criminal history includes convictions for possession of a stolen vehicle, drug violations, according to charging documents. The documents say he had been released from jail on an unrelated possession of a stolen vehicle charge December 25th, Christmas Day. All right, so that's a little bit more of a connection to Christmas. But this sounds like a mental health issue to me. I mean, I don't know why some of these people fail to realize that. Okay. Let's continue here with NewmanLawOffices.com, which compiled a list of top 10 Christmas crimes. 'Tis the season for crime. Many criminals see the holiday season as their opportunity to cash in. But while many of the crimes committed around Christmas center around the theft of presents, there are a few that are so strange that they definitely deserve a place on Santa's naughty list. Here are 10 strange but true Christmas crimes. 1. Stolen baby Jesus. Oh man. What's stranger, stealing a doll depicting what many believe is the Son of God, or using GPS and high-tech cameras to protect the display? Regardless of your belief, stealing an important religious symbol for no other reason than to vandalize seems like a very Grinch-esque activity. But then again, having a good excuse to ask Santa for an advanced GPS system has its perks. If you see a vandal robbing a nativity scene of baby Jesus and the GPS tracking system hasn't already done it for you, report the incident to authorities. So NBC News reported this incident. GPS, hidden cameras, watch over baby Jesus. I wonder how many people go to these lengths to protect their nativity displays. So this is December 10th, 2008, Associated Press. When baby Jesus disappeared last year from a nativity scene on the lawn of the Wellington, Florida Community Center, village officials didn't follow a star to locate him. A GPS device mounted inside the life-size ceramic figurine led sheriffs to a nearby apartment where it was found safe on the carpet. An 18-year-old woman was arrested in the theft. I wonder if they had GPS tracking inside all of the figures or it was just baby Jesus, because I don't know, that would be interesting. Giving up on old-fashioned padlocks and trust, a number of churches, synagogues, governments, and ordinary citizens are turning to technology to protect holiday displays from pranks or prejudice. About 70 churches and synagogues, eager to avoid the December police blotter, jumped at a security company's offer of free use of GPS systems and hidden cameras this month to guard their mangers and menorahs. How can anybody do that? Others, like the Herrera family of Richland Hills, Texas, took matters into their own hands. Upset after their teeter-totter was stolen, the family trained surveillance cameras on their yard and was surprised when footage showed a teenage girl stealing a baby Jesus worth almost $500. Police have obtained the tape. They took the family Jesus, said Gloria Herrera, 48, a Catholic. How can anybody do that? For 2 consecutive years, thieves made off with the baby Jesus figurine in Wellington, a well-off village of 60,000 in Palm Beach County, Florida. The ceramic, so 2 consecutive years. Wow. The ceramic original, donated by a local merchant, was made in Italy and worth about $1,800, said John Bond, Wellington's director of operations. So last year, officials took a GPS unit normally used to track the application of mosquito spray and implanted it in the latest replacement figurine. After that one disappeared, sheriff's deputies quickly tracked it down. Sensing opportunity in that kind of success story, New York-based Brickhouse Security is offering up to 200 nonprofit religious institutions a free month's use of security cameras and Lightning GPS products it distributes. Chief Executive Officer Todd Morris said the idea was born after a few churches asked about 1-month rentals instead of longer contracts that are the norm. The first 20 or so applications came from synagogues, he said. People are very security conscious. This is simply a precaution, said Goldman, who will put a GPS on one menorah and a camera on another. It's sad, but it's the reality we're faced with. All right, going back to the Newman Law Office's Top 10 list, Walmart Stampede. People really go wild over Christmas gadgets and gizmos. So wild, in fact, that they behave like wild animals and stampede into large retail stores hoping to get the best deal on the coolest new items. But recently, this trend has taken a decidedly less innocent turn as workers and bystanders have been trampled by frenzied shoppers. I mean, that reminds me from scenes from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Jingle All the Way, an overlooked Christmas classic. This Christmas, remember why we really celebrate the holidays and get your shopping done in a decidedly less deadly fashion. So New York Times reported on this November 28th, 2008. Walmart employee trampled to death. And that's, wow, that is sad. This is the most gruesome so far. In today's episode, Robert D. McFadden, Angela Macropolis wrote this article, November 28th, 2008, New York Times. The throng of Walmart shoppers has been building all night, filling sidewalks and stretching across the vast parking lot at the Green Acres Mall in Valley Stream, New York at 3:30 a.m. Wow, witching hour. The Nassau County Police had to be called in for crowd control, and an officer with a bullhorn pleaded for order. Tension grew at the 5 a.m. opening as the 5 a.m. opening neared. Someone taped up a crude poster, "Blitz line starts here." By 4:55, with no police officers in sight, the crowd of more than 2,000 had become a rabble and could be held back no longer. They couldn't wait the extra 5 minutes. Fists banged and shoulders pressed on the sliding glass double doors, which bowed in with the weight of the assault. 6 to 10 workers inside tried to push back, but it was hopeless. Suddenly, witnesses and the police said the doors shattered and the shrieking mob surged through in a blind rush for holiday bargains. One worker, Jidmaitai Damour, 34, was thrown back into the black linoleum tiles and trampled in the stampede that streamed over and around him. Others who had stood alongside Mr. Damour trying to hold the doors were also hurled back and run over, witnesses said. Some workers who saw what was happening fought their way through the surge to get to Mr. Demore, but he had been fatally injured, the police said. Emergency workers tried to revive Mr. Demore, a temporary worker hired for the holiday season, at the scene, but he was pronounced dead an hour later at Franklin Hospital Medical Center in Valley Stream. 4 other people, including a 28-year-old woman who was described as 8 months pregnant, were treated at the hospital for minor injuries. I'm not sure if an 8 months pregnant woman should be around stampeding crowds at 5 a.m., but Detective Lieutenant Michael Fleming, who was in charge of the investigation for the Nassau Police, said the store lacked adequate security. He called the scene utter chaos and said the crowd was out of control. As for those who had run over the victim, criminal charges were possible. The lieutenant said, "I've heard other people call this an accident, but it is not. Certainly, it was a foreseeable act." But even with videos from the store's surveillance cameras and the accounts of witnesses, Lieutenant Fleming and other officials acknowledged that it would be difficult to identify those responsible, let alone to prove culpability. Some shoppers who had seen the stampede said they were shocked. One of them, Kimberly Cribbs of Queens, said the crowd had acted like savages. Shoppers behaved badly even as the store was being cleared, she recalled. When they were saying they had to leave, that an employee got killed, people were yelling, "I've been online since yesterday morning," Miss Cribbs told the Associated Press. They kept shopping. Walmart security officials and the police cleared the store, swept up the shattered glass, and locked the doors until 1 p.m. when it reopened to a steady stream of calmer shoppers who passed through the missing doors and battered door jambs, apparently unaware that anything had happened. Ugly shopping scenes, a few involving injuries, have become commonplace during the bargain hunting ritual known as Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. The nation's largest retail group, the National Retail Federation, that sounds like something out of Star Wars, said it had never heard of a worker being killed on Black Friday. Walmart declined to provide details of the stampede, but said in a statement that it had tried to prepare by adding staff members. Still, it was unclear how many security workers it had at the Valley Stream store for the opening on Friday. The Green Acres Mall provides its own security to supplement the staffs of some larger stores, but it did not appear that Walmart was one of them. Walmart is not one of the largest stores. A Walmart spokesman, Dan Fogelman, called it a tragic situation and said the victim had been hired from a temp staffing agency and assigned to maintenance work. Walmart, in a statement issued at its headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas, said the safety and security of our customers and associates is our top priority. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families at this tragic time. All right, so the article goes on for quite a bit more, and it's very sad, of course. Let's move on. Number 3 here, stolen Christmas trees. This may be the only time of year where stealing a tree represents an attractive and potentially profitable opportunity for a criminal. It's no surprise that the rates of petty theft and robbery rise during the Christmas season. But Christmas trees, really? If you see a tree being stolen from a commercial lot, do your civic duty and report the criminal to the authorities. They'll be out in force this year, cracking down on a truly bizarre crime. So, this is an article also from 2008, Alyssa Abkowitz on Fortune.com. Sign of the times. Stolen Christmas trees. With the economy weak, police across the country have seen an uptick in the theft of trees from commercial lots. Thieves have targeted holiday trim also. In recent weeks, police across the country have seen an uptick in the theft of trees from commercial lots. In Baytown, Texas, cops caught a man earlier this month trying to take several holiday trees off a lot. How was he carrying them? In Portland, Oregon, police nabbed a man last week dragging a stolen tree down the street around 3 a.m. Officials in Hillsborough County, Florida, are investigating a Christmas tree crime spree with more than 20 stolen from one lot owner alone. In that instance, 14 Fraser firs were swiped in the middle of the night, December 2nd. Another 8 were stolen a week later. Dan Parker, who has owned the site for more than 50 years, says no trees were stolen from the site last year. In fact, the last time Parker had pilferers was when 40 were stolen in 1978. So a whole bunch stolen in 78, then nothing until 2008. So exactly 30 years later. People shouldn't be stealing Christmas trees because Christmas has a real good meaning, he says. We don't need this in the economy right now. He sells trees for $35 to $300, adding he didn't raise prices this year because of the weak economic climate. Because of the thefts, he plans to install motion detectors and hire a night watchman to guard his goods for the remaining days and nights in his selling season. In Groton, Connecticut, the local Lions International Club, which sells Christmas trees in the parking lot of the Groton Shoppers Mart Shopping Center, ordered 400 trees this year instead of the usual 450, anticipating weak demand. It's a big difference, 50 trees. It's also anticipating some sticky fingers. Normally, the club factors in that 20 to 25 trees are likely to be stolen each year. This year, they expect that to rise to 50 or 60. We've always said if somebody has to steal a Christmas tree, God bless them, says Bill Foreman. A Lions Club member says, if someone needs a tree that bad, so be it. I mean, that's an interesting take on the Christmas spirit. To some degree, law enforcement officials say Christmas tree thieves come out every year, usually motivated by simple mischief making. Each holiday season, the Grinches go out in force, says Hillsborough Sheriff's Office spokesman J.D. Calloway. But he and others say this year's poachers may be products of the sour economy. Sales of fresh Christmas trees have been on an upswing since 2002, with approximately 31 million sold last year for a retail value of $1.3 billion, according to the National Christmas Tree Association. But with little evidence of any black market value for Christmas trees and a 6-foot fir costing as much as $200, officials suspect this year's thieves are likely stealing trees for their own living rooms. Lush firs aren't the only Christmas adornments being taken. Holiday trim has become hot loot as well. The Garden Patch in Raynham, Massachusetts, a garden center near Boston, lost $1,500 worth of Christmas decorations to thieves on Thanksgiving night. Wow, people are going out to do their Christmas theft on Thanksgiving. Owner Kathy Barlow says stolen items included table runners, Victorian ornaments, and small tabletop arrangements. A few days later, a $120 14-foot fir was snatched. That's not bad. 14 feet, $120. Some bad Santas are even swiping decor from charities. An artificial tree that had the names of needy children asking for gifts pinned to it was stolen from the lobby of a post office in Sorrento, Florida. And on Thursday, police charged a 40-year-old woman near Grand Rapids, Michigan, with larceny for allegedly swiping toys donated to the Salvation Army. According to local reports, when the woman was arraigned and told her bond was $10,000, she asked the judge, "You got $10,000?" Yeah. So much for Christmas cheer. All right, number 4 was the drunken parade float that I mentioned earlier, and the nativity scene vandalism. Apparently, there's a lot of vandalism. I'm not going to go over that too extensively. I mean, that's quite common all the time. All right, let's move on to the Frosty stabbing. Frosty, after surviving 2 initial stabbing attempts, finally succumbed to his wounds while the perpetrators were tracked down and charged with vandalism. Yes, Frosty may have been a 12-foot tall inflatable snowman, but does that mean he deserves to be repeatedly stabbed? Absolutely not. The teenage perpetrators were caught in this case, but around Christmas, this type of vandalism often goes unsolved. It's amazing where priorities are. Christmas tree cannabis. The Christmas tree is one of the most iconic symbols of the holiday season. In this bizarre turn on a Christmas classic, the Christmas tree was made entirely of illegal marijuana. While it may have looked similar to a normal tree, setting it on fire may have some interesting effects on those nearby. Perhaps it's not the best idea to use your illegal drugs as your celebration of the holiday season. So here's an article from marijuanapackaging.com, December 11th, 2014. Marijuana Christmas tree lands mom in jail. It appears as though a mother in Chile won't be having a marijuana Christmas this year. In a recent report, 50-year-old Angelica Navarro Pereira was arrested on criminal charges when Chilean police found a giant marijuana plant in her living room, which her neighbors claimed was this year's Christmas tree. Thinking about it, she didn't invite me in to see her tree, said neighbor Renato Quinones. Alfaro to RT News. When I spoke to her yesterday, she said her children were going to really enjoy Christmas this year, and she had the best tree in the world. I don't remember seeing her taking one in. Now I know why. Once police raided Pereira's home, they found a huge cannabis plant, complete with presents at the base, as well as 20 more cannabis plants, $4,000 in hard cash, 2 handmade shotguns, 29 bags of other illegal drugs. The place was full of drugs. We had been investigating this woman for over a month, said a police spokesperson to RT News. We suspected she was involved in trafficking, and when we had enough proof, we carried out our raid. We expected to find some drugs, but the last thing we expected to see was one of the plants being used as a Christmas tree. The woman has since been arraigned to appear in court on drug trafficking charges. Wow. So, consenting adults engaged in the commerce of plants definitely need to be rated. That's definitely where the priorities of law enforcement should be. Willing customers engaging in free commerce of plants. Let's go to the cannabis Christmas card. There's definitely some themes here. In this strange story, a woman visiting her boyfriend in prison wanted to surprise him with a heartfelt Christmas card. The catch, the card contained a heaping helping of illegal marijuana, which is generally frowned upon in prison. After being caught, she may have an opportunity to join her boyfriend behind bars next holiday season. So this is reported at ABC News. Woman hid marijuana in letter to Harris County Jail inmate. October 27th, 2014. Houston police arrested a young woman they said included more than love notes in an envelope she sent to an inmate in Harris County Jail. Police say Ashley Schaefer, 19, used a fake return address to send a letter concealing marijuana to an inmate at the Harris County Jail in late August. She has been charged with bringing prohibited substances into a correctional facility. I like that name, correctional facility, as if they correct anybody. Okay, Schaefer glued the substance between 2 pages in a 9-page handwritten letter intended for an inmate, Austin Garcia, according to court documents. Police say an officer recognized the leafy substance as marijuana before giving the letter to Garcia. The officer submitted the letters for fingerprint examination, which led the police to Schaefer. The woman is now in jail without bond. That's interesting. You don't get bond for sending plants in a Christmas card. Naughty Santa Claus. Children really enjoy telling Santa what they want for Christmas, and adults enjoy the idea of Santa perhaps just as much. But when Santa starts telling dirty and offensive jokes at the workplace, not the North Pole, Santa is going to get a nice pink slip for Christmas. Merry unemployment Santa and a happy new harassment charge next year. So again, this is just shades of Bad Santa, the Billy Bob Thornton movie. So Metro.co.uk, December 8th, 2010. Supermarket Santa John Toomey was fired from his job after telling a naughty joke that didn't impress his grown-up customers. The 68-year-old Macy's worker had been a popular Saint Nick in San Francisco for over 20 years, losing his job right at the start of the holiday season when a complaint was made about the inappropriate quip, one he insists he's been telling for years without a problem. When I ask the older people who sit on my lap if they have been good and they say yes, I say, gee, that's too bad, he explained. Then if they ask why Santa is so jolly, I joke that it's because I know where all the naughty boys and girls live. The retired caretaker continued to the San Francisco Chronicle. That's kind of creepy. Everything was okay until this couple came in. I don't know why they reported me. I don't think I said anything untoward. Toomey emphasized that he only ever rolled out the joke around grown-ups, with a number of Macy's employees labeling his dismissal as an overreaction. People make a pilgrimage to see him every year, some for as long as 15 years. One remarked to the publication, everyone loves him, everyone was just heartsick about this. According to reports, Toomey is now hoping to find work as Santa Claus for private parties. So, again, I mean, these are just some out-of-control Karens back in December 2010. They say if they've been good, they say yes. I say, gee, that's too bad. I mean, that's really that bad of a joke? Or they say, I know where all the naughty boys and girls live? I mean, that's kind of creepy, but I mean, I don't know. If he's telling that joke to only adults, I mean, I don't know. That's whatever. Bizarre. All right, number 10 on this list, the Santa Claus Bandit, which was, of course, I actually went over this one before. But there's a couple more here. Vice.com has some bizarre Christmas crimes here, written by Natasha Vargas Cooper, December 23rd, 2015. A look back at the most bizarre Christmas crimes of all time. Terrible choices get rationalized when they are done in the name of giving your loved ones or yourself a better holiday. Nothing highlights the scuzzy, pustule-ridden underbelly of humanity quite like Christmas. The Walmart stampedes, the old drunken family stabbings, Santa dolls in Brazil filled with cocaine. Terrible choices get rationalized when they are done in the name of giving your loved ones or yourself a better holiday. And there's nothing like the generosity of others to highlight the terrible darkness that generosity can spawn. For every Christmas toy drive, there's a Christmas toy drive crime scene. Still, it's wonderful fodder for all us smug secular folks and Jews to post indignantly about on Facebook, or just terrific inspiration for another Tom Waits song. And they are referring to a Christmas card from a hooker in Minneapolis. So snuggle up with the elf on the shelf that you're using to behaviorally modify your kid's expletive attitude. Pour that eggnog and enjoy a brief history of the season's strangest crimes. So there's a couple of repeats here. The bath salt home invasion. Another one here, the SantaCon bank robbery. Journalists are getting beheaded in Syria. It's near impossible to get an abortion in Texas, and almost half the world lives on less than $2 a day. Even so, a bunch of a-holes dress up like Santa every year, run drunkenly through the streets, and dry hump each other through sweaty plush suits. The only good that can come from such a grotesque public display of whimsy is a good old-fashioned bank robbery. Last year, some expletive genius dressed up like Santa during SantaCon, the seasonal Santa-themed pub crawl for people with strong opinions about football and other useless BS, and robbed a bank in San Francisco. The cops never found him. There's actually a photograph with the beard actually peeling off his face, so you could actually see a large portion of his face. Interesting. Then we have the repeats, the snake and cash thievery, the GPS monitored baby Jesus recovery, the giant weed Christmas tree, the drunken dance studio float jaunt. So there doesn't seem to be, like, I went over quite a bit of them. There doesn't seem to be that much more. But I found a couple more here, which are quite bizarre. This is from Oddee.com, ODDEE.com. 10 Ridiculous Christmas Crimes, December 30th, 2014. 200-pound statue of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stolen. On December 12, 2014, a Grinch stole a little more than just a Christmas spirit. A 200-pound statue of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer disappeared from atop a city sign in Los Angeles. The statue had been a holiday icon in the South Bay enclave of Rolling Hills Estates for 50 years. A few days after the robbery, police followed up on a tip from a TV viewer and located the wooden statue on the roof of a mobile home in Gardena. We assure you, at 200 pounds, it was hard to miss. The man at the home was arrested for stolen property. He was found to be a gardener who worked in the area where the statue disappeared. Oh, man. $2,000 worth of Christmas decorations stolen. Also in 2014, police arrested a Colorado Springs couple for swiping 2 G's worth of their neighbor's Christmas decorations. The couple was bold enough to fill the front and backyard of their home with the stolen decorations. Wait a second. You steal your neighbor's Christmas decorations and then you put them up in your own yard? Every morning he'd go for a walk at like 2 or 3 a.m., what? And then there was just more stuff in the yard, said the wife, who claimed she didn't know where the decorations came from in a Homer Simpson-esque episode of Ned Flanders-esque proportions. Oh, man. All right, there's a little bit more here This is an article from CBS Denver. 2 charged with stealing $2,000 worth of Christmas decorations in Colorado Spring, and these mugshots are quite interesting. Police arrested a Colorado Springs couple for swiping $2,000 worth of neighbors' Christmas decorations. Carrie Carly. Carrie Carly, 42, and her husband was the sole Grinch in the scheme. Police said the couple's front and backyards were filled with stolen Christmas decorations, KKTV reported. Jeremy Llewellyn, 18, and Carly, 42, his wife, were arrested December 19th. Carly told CBS 4 partner KKTV she didn't know where the decorations came from. Every morning he'd go for a walk at like 2 or 3, and then there was just more stuff in the yard. Llewellyn spent Christmas morning in jail. Carly bounded out. According to the affidavit, Llewellyn chuckled when confronted about the stolen decorations. He said he didn't care about people from whom he'd stolen, police said. Carly said Llewellyn was also jailed in November for stealing Halloween decorations. So is that his thing? But she worried that reporting the ill-gotten Christmas decorations would have landed her in trouble. I didn't know if I was going to get in trouble myself or not, because it was in my yard. Both face felony theft counts. Carly said she will fight charges against her. Meanwhile, the decorations have been returned. Oh, man. All right, so back to OD.com. Nativity donkey squashed to death by obese man. Deaths are never good. In December 2014, a nativity donkey was squashed by an obese man who climbed into its pen in Spain. The 5-month-old animal, called Platero, was not meant to be ridden, but was part of the Christmas scene in the town of Lucena, Andalusia. However, according to a complaint by animal welfare groups, a 23-stone man climbed on the donkey's back to pose for a picture that had caused outrage on social media. 2 days after the incident, on December 10th, locals noticed the small animal could barely stand. It died the next morning after vets said they could not heal its injuries. The man climbed the fence and pushed Platero around until he could proudly pose, galloping with almost 330 pounds of weight on his fragile body, fatally injuring him, said the complaint. Police are investigating. So that is a sad one. 4 women in bikinis steal Christmas lights in small rural town. Not much seemed to happen in the tiny town of South Johnstone, population 500, Australia, until Christmas 2013, when 4 bikini-clad female bandits were seen running after committing a late-night Christmas light robbery. The scantily dressed ladies took 30 solar lights, including 3 candy canes, from 2 homes before they were disturbed by a neighbor who chased them down the street. Police said the group then fled across a nearby football field and somehow vanished in the small town. Police were never able to catch the Christmas criminals. I like how they phrase that. They somehow vanished. Oh, man. That's a funny one. All right, number 5, not so funny. Man stabbed after giving girlfriend knife for Christmas. In 2013, a man who gave his girlfriend a fillet knife for Christmas was treated at a Seattle hospital for stab wounds the following day. Clever detectives at the Everett Police Department Major Crimes Unit believe the woman, 18, stabbed her boyfriend and slit his throat with the new knife. The woman alleged that the man had threatened to hurt her several times, including on the drive home from a fishing trip they took a few days before. She told police that he told her he would cut her up and throw her in the river. Okay, so, wow. How many abusive boyfriends who threaten to kill their wives or threaten to kill their girlfriends give them knives as presents? I mean, I don't understand this one. Like, what did they? they're giving her the weapon when if they would you give someone a weapon whom you are trying to hurt? That doesn't make a lot of sense. She said she acted out of fear when she unsnapped the sheath and stabbed him. From his hospital bed, the man denied making any threats. He said he had no idea why she would do it, police wrote in a report. He said he did not make any threats to her. He said it happened in an instant. The woman was booked into the Snohomish County Jail for investigation of first-degree domestic violence assault. All right, that's kind of bizarre. So he had an 11-inch gash across his throat, including a cut to his trachea. He was also stabbed in the chest and had cuts to both hands, court papers say. That's kind of weird, though. Again, why would he... So he gives his girlfriend a fillet knife as a gift. She uses the knife to attack him. I don't know. That's a bizarre one. I don't know if I've heard something like that before. 6, Swedish Christmas goat engulfed in flames for the 27th time. Wow, that has a cult written all over it. In 2013, for the 27th time, vandals in Sweden burned down a giant straw goat meant to symbolize the Christmas spirit. Also symbolizes a lot of other stuff. Located in Gävle, Sweden's town square, the 13-meter, 43-foot high, and 3.6-ton heavy straw goat was engulfed in flames in a criminal action that's almost as old as the goat tradition itself, which has been taking place since 1966. Interesting. All right, this one, okay, we're getting really weird now. 7 mafia men arrested over Christmas flower extortion. All right, here we go. In 2013, police in Italy arrested 4 mafia gangsters over a Christmas extortion scam. The men have been forcing shop owners to buy poinsettias, red leaf plants known in Italy as Christmas stars, for 100 times the wholesale price, demanding as much as 100 euros, $140, a plant for the past 3 holiday seasons. Owners who refused the mob's Christmas offer had their shops vandalized. That is a bizarre one. That is a bizarre one. So this is the article from BBC.com. Mafia men arrested over Christmas poinsettia scam, December 16th, 2013. These were gangsters in the southern city of Naples, Italy. Owners who refused the mob's Christmas offer had their shops vandalized. It wasn't someone dressed like Santa Claus tapping on the doors of shop owners and businesses. Instead, there were 4 emissaries of the Mazzarella clan, police said. The men were trying to raise funds for the families and legal fees of jailed gang members, police said. The BBC's Alan Johnston in Rome says mafioso extortion rackets are the curse of business life in much of southern Italy. That also sounds like it should be in a movie. Police issued description of stolen Christmas tree as 6 foot tall with lots of green branches and prickly bits. If anyone has any information as to the whereabouts of this tree, please get in touch, said the Facebook page of UK's Falmouth Police Station after specifying a stolen Christmas tree on their Facebook page as being 6 foot tall with lots of green branches and prickly bits. An obvious case of a very, very special and hard to miss tree. The status update has generated a number of amused responses from the followers of the page. I mean, that really narrows it down. What are you going to do? $192,000 worth of marijuana wrapped as Christmas gifts. In 2012, a BMW SUV was pulled over on the Ohio Turnpike around 11 a.m. A drug-sniffing dog indicated the presence of contraband and police searched the vehicle. A probable cause search revealed 30 pounds of hydroponic marijuana wrapped as Christmas gifts worth an estimated $192,000. Man, you just can't drive around with plants in your car. So they originally stopped the BMW SUV for failing to drive in marked lanes. So it's kind of interesting whether that's true or not. So here is the final weird Christmas crime. In with the times. Millions of digital coins stolen in Christmas hack. The day after Christmas 2013, the founders of Doge Wallet, a storage system for the Bitcoin digital currency alternative, Dogecoin, confirmed a hack that may have cost owners millions in lost digital coins. Thankfully, valued at roughly 0.00059 cents per coin, the millions of Dogecoins that were stolen have a combined value of just around $12,000. The hack didn't target individual accounts, but rather the official Doge Wallet page, which was modified to ensure that all transactions were sent to a single account rather than their intended recipients. Doge Wallet's founders said those accounts affected would be compensated, but the trust in the new digital currency was damaged and ruined a lot of people's days. So that is interesting. And with Bitcoin on the rise again at the end of 2020, there is a lot of digital currency uncertainty on many levels. But that was an assortment of just really bizarre and weird and mind-shocking crimes during Christmas time. And I'll be doing a different episode on more morbid murders and such. But I just thought that weirdness and just bizarre crimes would be a little bit more fitting in this particular year of 2020. Hope you guys enjoyed a special holiday episode of the MindShock podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal, help us get more episodes out at a faster frequency and a larger variety of topics and true crime cases. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and if they're still not coming through, you check your device to make sure it allows notifications, and if they're still not coming through after that, you can just go to youtube.com/mindshock and check out our large back catalog, as well as to stay updated with newer releases. If you liked this particular episode, hit that like button, share it across social media platforms, of which you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. Could also be a guest on the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comments section. This is Bruce McGuire signing off and wishing you a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season.